Have you seen the movie? Martin Scorsese directed it, The Last Waltz by the band.
Yeah.
And they're in San Francisco, and it's right before this famous theater shuts down. That is, to this day, one of my favorite live performances ever. I think it was in 1969, actually, in San Francisco, the band. Most of them are dead now, unfortunately, but that's kind of where I felt. I was just growing up, I was just hip hop, whatever. And when I got out of college, I kind of started to expand my mind a little bit and go, there's other types of music out there. And I was in a garage, in my buddy's shed, and we were having some rum and cokes. And the next thing you know, he chucks this on, and my mind exploded. I wasn't even on drugs, just liquor. And I was watching this, and I was just like, what the hell is this? These guys are going nuts. The guy in the drums, Levi.
Levi Helm.
Old Dixie down.
Amazing.
I was just... Anyways, I'll never forget that. And ever since that day I saw that DVD, my mind just kind of exploded into exploring other genres of music, and it's incredible.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think the reason why that is so legendary, why the band, it's funny because I was just telling this to my kids. I'm like one of those guys, the dads that drives around and listens to satellite radio and teaches the kids important lessons on music. But I'm like, the band, like we're talking. But part of the reason why the band is so enjoyable to listen to is that there's multiple singers. They're great at each of their instruments. They're absolutely deluxe, but they sound like a band. They are playing with each other. They are kind of the ultimate band, right? Like it's not just one singer who's sitting and everybody's just learning the parts. It's this band. It's this like amorphous thing where you can tell they're jamming together. As you can see on Last Waltz, it's very special to watch because you're like, it's not going to be the same tomorrow night. It wasn't the same last night. Every night's a little different. Everybody's bringing their feelings to the table. Everybody's engaging in this art of listening, engaging, interacting. It's incredible. It's like, so it's a unique live experience. And when the musicianship's really high, you get magic.
Is it more difficult to perform when there's more people on stage? Because I'm assuming when more people are on stage, everyone has to be in sync. What's your magic number? 3, 4?
Well, I mean, I often tour with 3, but I've been getting pretty into big groups.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like I did a show last year with 10. Loved it.
Oh, yeah?
Loved it, man.
How long did it take to perfect the performance?
Not too long. It takes a lot of organization beforehand, and it takes, you kind of you have to know what you're doing. But my big thing now is like this idea of like, and this guy gets into, you talk a lot about sports, obviously, too, but like, it's this idea of how much direction is too much direction. What structure do you need, and how much do you need to let people breathe? It's like coaching, right? It's like coaching on a team. Like you got to be able to throw plays at people, but you also need to give people room to play their game.
You got to let Crosby do what he does. You can't cut.
You can't control those elements. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important. Like with a band, I think, and I'm learning this over time. And also, I grew up in school bands. It's like, okay, we got 10 people, so we got to have some sort of like structure, or the wheels are going to fall off. But how do we make it sound fresh? How do we make it sound so when Leith is soloing, it's Leith's time to go? You know what I'm saying? When it's the guitar player, so it's that we are a flexible. My thing right now is like, how do you make a band bigger, but without losing that instinctive kind of impulsive ability to adjust on the spot, on the fly, to be able to react quickly. It's super exciting. 3 people, you can, if you've played with them for a long time, you can adjust. You can make things, you start playing quiet, everybody will get quiet. But you get 10 people, how do you get that same responsiveness? It's fascinating. It takes a long time, but I love the challenge.
Well, that's what it goes back to what we were just talking about, finding these challenges.
Finding the challenge. And that's kind of been one of my things. And I love that because, of course, then from the audience perspective, you get this incredible thing where you're like watching 10 people or 50. I'm playing with the orchestra on the weekend with Symphony Nova Scotia. I mean, there's going to be 65 of us on stage. That's a crazy thing. How do you do that? Well, there's a conductor that keeps things in line, but then you got to also be able to be part of it too. You're in a ship together. So if I try to like commandeer the ship, if I try to just go rogue, and it doesn't work, man. You're all in it together. You gotta. So it's cool.